in this video I'm going to give a review of the Sony RX100 compact camera. So I've just bought this camera. I've just bought it new. It was released around 4 years ago, so it's not a new model, but Sony is still charging about £1,000 for it because it is an advanced compact camera. So what makes this special is it's small, it's compact, you can put it in your pocket, you can put it in your handbag, you can take it to events like concerts and you know, take it around with you. It's very light to carry, whereas a DSLR is very heavy and cumbersome, and you've got extra lenses to carry around. And so I thought I'd buy a decent compact camera that would be a substitute for the DSLR when I'm out and about. So this is a review. I've had it a few weeks now and I've been giving it some testing. I've been testing it with photographs, with videos, with time lapses, and I'll show you the results later in the video. I'm just going to give you a brief overview in case you are thinking of getting one, or in case you've just bought one, just to get you started on how to use it. So firstly, so this is the camera. I'm just going to show you what's in the box. So there's not a lot in the box, it's a very small box, and all that came with it is a little bag that it came in, this little bag here, and then you've got these leaflets, some QR codes to get the accessories, a reference guide, and how to access the manual on the internet. They don't give you a manual, but they do give you access to the manual, and the manual is very good, and it's worth looking at. I'll show you that later. So in the box you've got the camera, and you've got the USB plug to charge the camera with, and you get a USB charger with it, and so this goes into the camera with your battery in the camera, and you charge your battery in the camera. It's worth keeping the box and everything that comes with it, because cameras don't seem to lose value these days. I've just sold 2 compact cameras, and I got the same money I paid for them, because the manufacturers have upped their prices so that when you want to sell yours at a drop down price, you can sell it for the same price you bought it at if you keep it for a couple of years. So that's what's happening at the moment. So keep your box, keep everything in it, and then when you come to sell it, you might be able to sell it for a good price. So what I recommend you do, the first thing you should do is get some glass protectors. So I'll put a link down below where you can get these. I got them from Amazon, and what this does is it protects your screen. And I'm not affiliated with Amazon, so I'm not making any profit by giving you the links. I'm just going to give you the links to show you where to get them from. But here's the screens you get. You get 3 in a packet, and just in case one gets damaged, you've still got another 2. So it tells you what to do. You just peel this sticker off, you put it against the camera, you peel that off, peels off the sticky back, and you just put it on your camera very carefully. And you have to clean it and then dry your glass first. It tells you how to do that in the packet. So it's worth doing that to keep your camera pristine. So it has got the glass screen protector on there now, and it just looks like glass. You cannot tell that it's got the screen protector on it. Another thing I recommend you doing is getting like a little pouch to put it in. I bought this off Amazon. They come in lots of different colours, and it's padded inside, and then the camera can just slot inside like that, and keep it nice and safe in your handbag or in your pocket. I did make the mistake of putting this camera straight into my handbag, and I have managed to scratch it a bit down there, which I'm unhappy about because it is a new camera. You can buy a charger like this one, and you do get batteries with the charger, and this charger You can see there, I'll put the link below of where to get this from. And you can charge Sony batteries up in here, or you can charge these other batteries up in the same charger. That battery's in the wrong way around. When you put a battery in, it needs to be pointing that way for it to charge. So you can see those two batteries are fully charged now, and it's busy charging this one. So it's quite reasonable to buy. I'll put the link below where you can get it from Amazon. I bought some ND filters because this camera hasn't got any ND filters. So what that does is it helps to reduce if the sky is overexposed and things like that. So it's very easy to use. You get a little adapter that you put on the end of the lens. So you put the little adapter on the end of the lens like that, and then you get these little ND filters in this pack. So like this one, you can see there, if something's going to be very exposed, or if you want to take, say, a picture of, say, a waterfall in this very bright sunlight and you want to have a slow shutter speed, you can use it for that. So what you do is you just put it in like this, and you can have more than one in at a time. So you could have that one in, and then if you wanted to add another one, you could do that because you've got another space. I've cracked this one. So I'll have to order another one of these. I've cracked it. I must have put it in too forcefully, so be careful when you're putting it in the little the grooves there. So you can just press it in there, so then you can have two in at the same time. So it's really handy if you're wanting to take pictures and it's an overexposed scene, like an overexposed sky, for example. And you can also get other ND filters as well. So there's this is like a pinky colour for sunsets, and you've got the dark one, and you've got that one that's cracked, and you've also got this one which is dark on the top and light on the bottom. So if you just wanted to expose your sky better. So these filters, handy to keep in your pocket as well, and it's called the NISI. I'll put the link below for that as well. It has a display at the back that pops out like this. So if you were doing say a vlog and you wanted it, you could have it so it's popped up like that, pointing at you, and you could see your image on the top there. You can have it so it's pointing down like that if you wanted to take an image high up. So if above someone's head at the concert, for example, you could still see the image there. So it's got that handy screen on the back. So I'm just going to go over some of the settings in this camera with you now. I'm going to show you what the dials and the buttons mean. If you are a DSLR user, you will recognise the mode dial. So these are the different modes you can use with the camera. I will go into them later. I just want to recommend, if you're a beginner, keep your setting on auto during the daytime, and you can also use the scene setting if you don't know how to change the other settings, like the shutter speed and things like that. But I think a lot of people who buy these cameras are already DSLR users, and they just want to do what I'm doing and have a little mini, it's like a DSLR, a little mini DSLR to carry around with you in your pocket. So the mode dial, this is your zoom in and out. Just you can zoom in or zoom out with that. This is your on off button. This is to pop the flash up. And this is your viewfinder. It's got its own little viewfinder, which is also very handy to have. So let me just switch it on. So you can see there. So there's a little button here that you pull down if you want the viewfinder up. So you just pop that down, and that brings up the viewfinder. And on top of the viewfinder, you've got this little lever here which you can change so it suits your eyesight. So you look through the viewfinder, look at the digits and move this until you can see the digits clearly. And then you can switch it off by putting the viewfinder down. So you can switch it on by popping that up. And you can switch it off by pushing this down. When you push this down, just be careful when you push it down so it doesn't get jammed. And you can also switch it on by this on off button here. So I'm just going to switch it on. And you've got a little flash, little lever here. So if I pull that out, you get the flash. And it's just a small flash. So there's the flash there at the top. It's enough to do indoor photography in a small room. We'll put the flash down. So we've shown you the top buttons now. So the back buttons, there's quite a number of them. So on the back you've got all of these functions. In the top here you've got the movie button, you've got the function button which is labelled FN, you've got the menu button, you've got this wheel which has 6 different functions on it. So for example, if we press down on the wheel, we'll get a choice between aperture, or press down again and you get shutter speed, and then you can dial in what you want your shutter speed to be. So the highest shutter speed it goes up to is 32 thousandths of a second. So to use that shutter speed you would need to also increase your ISO because the image just goes dark. Now it's very rare you would need a shutter speed that high. For example, I think the highest I've used is about 8 thousandths of a second. And most cameras are set to 8 thousandths of a second. And so for example, if you were shooting a bird flying, you might want to have it at 4 thousandths of a second. If you want to shoot like somebody running, 500th or 640th of a second. If you want to shoot somebody walking, 160th of a second would be good enough for that. And if you want to shoot something that was still, you could go, like for this clock for example, you could go as low as you want. And it goes as low as, it goes down to 30 seconds. And you can see it's all whited out now because it's too bright. It's letting too much light in. But it goes to bulb, and with bulb is what you do is you press on the shutter and you hold it there for as long as you want. If you're hand holding it though, you need to think about the length of your zoom. For example, if you were using a 200mm zoom, then you would need at least 200th of a second shutter speed to account for the unsteadiness of your holding the camera. If you've got it on a tripod and you've got a still image, then you can go as low as you need to. If you press up, you can change your display settings, so that shows you all your current settings. And you can press up again and you get the bar below where you can change your shutter speed and aperture. You press up again, you get all the other settings that are shown around the edges of the image. And if you press up again, you get just a plain screen. So that's the display if you press up on the wheel. And you also get this spirit level. So if I tip this, you can see it's not level, but on it, when it's green, it is level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you get the histogram at the bottom. 6, where you get the spirit level. And then back to that. So there's 6 different displays on the top here. So I like to leave it on the one with a little histogram on the bottom. You can also touch focus by pressing on the screen, as long as you've got it set in your menu that you can touch focus. So you can touch parts of the screen to, if you want to focus on a particular object in the room or outside, you can click on what you want to focus on, and it's handy if you're using the viewfinder to do that. And if you press left, you get the drive mode. If you press right, I'll just half click that again to get back. If you click right, I've customized it for creative style here. I've currently got it on standard. And then if you press down, that's when you can change your shutter speed and aperture. And if you press the middle button, you can select focus for that. Now my focus, I've got it set to center. To check what your settings are, you can press the function button here, and then all your functions come up at the bottom. So if I want to change that focus area, I can have flexible spot, expand flexible spot, center, zone. So that's center. I'm going to choose flexible spot. So you can see with flexible spot, it's got these little arrows pointing out of it. And when you've got that set, you can't press down to access your shutter speed and your aperture. And this confused me when I first started using the camera. I was like, how do I get to the shutter speed and the aperture? It's not letting me. So what you do to come off that is you just press that middle button, and that deselects the focusing point. And now you can access your aperture and shutter speed. And then if you want that focus thing to come on again, the select focus point on or off, you just press the center button. So that's switching between on and off by pressing the center button there. So so it's got 6 different functions. This wheel has got the display button. By pressing up, you can change your displays. And then you can press to the left to get your drive mode. You can press to the right, because if your camera's new and you haven't customized it, if you press to your right, you should get the flash settings, which I've taken off because I don't use the flash much. And then if you press down, you get your shutter speed and your aperture. And then you press the center button to select your focus point on and off. And then you can turn the wheel as well. You can increase the size of that focus point or decrease the size of it by moving this wheel as well. And you can see my ISO set to 64. That's the lowest ISO it goes to, which is good because my DSLR only goes down to 100. And then to access the ISO, because if you press down, you can access the shutter speed and the aperture. To access the ISO, you can press the little bin icon, and then you get the ISO appearing down the side, and then you can scroll through that. So the highest ISO it goes up to is, well, we've got the lowest at 64, and the highest is 12,800. That's the highest it goes up to. So your play button, so this plays back any images that you've taken. So, and then the bottom, let's just switch this off a second. The bottom of the camera, so you've got the tripod mount here, and then you can open this door by pressing it, sliding that lever along. And then you've got your battery and you've got your SD card. To remove the battery, you just press that little blue lever and then the battery pops out. So that's the battery for the Sony camera, and then we just put it back in with the arrow pointing towards the middle of the camera. And then the SD card, you just press that to remove it and to put it in. So this SD card is what I would recommend for taking 4K videos. It's a SanDisk Extreme Pro 128 gigabytes because you need a lot of space if you're doing movies. And it needs to have that little 3 inside that cup shape there, and it needs to have the 10 in the little circle there, and that ensures it is a fast SD card. So to put this in this camera, you need to have the gold contacts facing the battery, and then you just press it till it clicks, and then you can shut that door. So on this side we've got the ports. So we have the port for the HDMI. So in this port, this is if you're using an external monitor or you want to attach it to a television. You can go in there and you just click it till it snaps back in. This is the port that you use. It says multi on it, and it's what you use to charge your battery up with. So that battery cable plugs in there. And then you've got a microphone port, so if you wanted to have a separate microphone, you could put it in there. I have attached a hand strap here, which is, you need to use this really because you haven't got any grip here to keep a grip of the camera, and there's a danger you could drop it. So I would recommend putting on your hand strap, or you could attach, because you've got one on either side, place to attach the straps. You could attach the straps neck strap to there. So actually I didn't show you the you get two little let me just show you that. In this little bag you get two little connectors to attach a shoulder strap. So that goes in the side of the camera, and you put your shoulder strap through here. I'm distracted. So it tells me all my settings at the bottom here, and it says I've got my ISO on auto, so I can change that by pressing the little bin, and then I can go and have it a bit higher. We are in a dull room. I'm going to leave it on 250. Actually you could go a bit higher than that. Well no, it doesn't need to, because I can reduce the shutter speed. So I can brighten it up that way, because it's a still object. It doesn't need to be a fast shutter speed. So let's have a look at the menu. So before I show you the menu, I'm just going to show you this FN button here. So if we press the FN button, it shows you all your current settings that you've got here. So if we go to the end, this shows you the drive mode. And you can change it from here. So if you click the center button there, you can change your drive mode, and there's lots of choices here, timers and brackets, and I'm not going to go into all the detail about it because it's going to take too long to explain all the detail about all of them. So what this single shooting is, that's just taking one shot. When you're halfway down, you focus and then you press, and it takes a shot. And this is high, where it takes multiple shots at the same time. So I'm not going to go through all of them now because it'll take too long, but they also got their own little menus as well. So for example, if you click right on the wheel, it shows you can do continuous shooting, mid, low and high, and single burst shooting, mid, low, high. And then you've got your timers as well. You've got 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 10 seconds. And you can take a timer that takes 5 separate images just in case somebody blinks. And then you've got different settings for these as well, and different settings. So it's just click on the little arrows at the side to see what all the other settings are. I'm just going to leave it on single for now. And then this is manual focus or auto focus. So manual focus, you would turn the focus wheel to focus on the subject. You can see the clock's going in and out of focus there, so blurry, and then you can focus on it using the focus wheel. And then you've got the second one is it's manual focus, but you can also have autofocus on that one. And then this is continuous autofocus, so this is if you were tracking something like an animal or a sports car. And then you can have automatic autofocus, so that checks to see if something's moving, and if it is moving, it'll follow it as well. Or you can just have it on single shot autofocus. So I think the best one to keep it in is automatic autofocus. So we've changed 2 settings there, and the next one is the focus area. So you can have it center. So if you half press the button, it'll focus on that particular. To focus using the autofocus, you half press the shutter until it turns green like that, and then you press it all the way down. That's how you take an image using the autofocus. But if we go back to the FN button, if we go back to that setting, you've got a choice. You've got wide, zone, center, flexible spot, expand flexible spot, tracking, expand flexible spot. So I'm just going to leave it on center for now, and then so that's on my next setting. I've got exposure compensation, and it says unavailable in current ISO setting, valid when set to ISO auto. So I don't need that. Then ISO, I had a 250, and then metering mode, you can have it multi-center. So what that does, it checks the light for the whole area. This is, it just concentrates on the center. This concentrates on the spot, and that's the entire screen average, or on the highlights. So I'm just going to leave it on center. And then the next one, this is your flash settings. So with the flash settings, you've got auto flash, you've got fill flash, slow sync, and rear sync. And then with the fill flash, if I popped it up, I could just take a picture, and it would take a picture with the flash, and then we could say that that's with the flash. And just pop the flash back down. So if you're in playback, it will ask you if you want to send your image to the smartphone. That's if you've got it set up. You can set it up. You can get the app, which is called the Imaging Edge Mobile, by scanning the QR code. You can get that app or search on your app store. You can see the battery power is getting low, so I'm just going to change the battery. So the next one along is the flash compensation. So if you thought the flash was a bit bright, you can turn the flash down or go minus, or if you think the flash wasn't bright enough, you can turn it up like this, and it's really quite useful, that. And then you've got the white balance. So with that, you've got automatic white balance, or you've got daylight, shade, cloudy, incandescent, warm white, cool white, day white, daylight, and then you've got flash, underwater, automatic, temperature, and you can customize them as well. So I'm just going to leave it on automatic white balance. And then you've got creative style. So with this, you've got, we'll go to the top, we've got standard, then you've got vivid, neutral, clear, deep, light, portrait, landscape, sunset. So you can see it changes the hue. So the landscape, it makes a clock a deeper pink, whereas portrait makes it a bit paler, light makes it a bit lighter, clear makes it a bit lighter as well, neutral. So landscape makes it deeper. A sunset will give it orange glow, night scene, autumn leaves, and you can do black and white, sepia, and then back to standard again. And then you've got whether you want your photographs raw or in JPEG or both. I choose both just in case I want to send a JPEG to my phone. The raw files is what you would use to process in Photoshop or Lightroom. Or you could just have it on JPEG. If you don't use Photoshop or Lightroom, it's, you know, just use it on JPEG. So you can use this, and then you can decide which shooting mode, and I've got it in manual, but you can change that by turning the mode dial, it's telling you. So So this is a reminder of what your settings are. If you're a bit wondering, oh, what have I got the ISO set to again? Oh, what have I got the white balance set to again? Just by pressing that, you can have a look and see, and then you can change it if you want to. So, for example, if you were doing a shot of, say, an animal, and that was fast moving, so you would want it on high continuous shooting, and you would want it on high, and it's a quick way to get to that setting instead of going through the whole menu. And if you want to go back to single shooting, you just press that FN button again. So it's really quite useful. So so the play button, this button, like I said before, you can flick through it like that. That was, so you can flick through and have a look at the images you've just taken. Remember, you can zoom in using the little clock here, and then you can zoom in, you can move this around as well to have a proper look at it. Like that. And then to zoom back out, you just zoom back out using the knob at the top there. So let's have a look at the menu now. So this menu is the most complicated part of it. So you press the menu button, and at the top you've got camera 1, camera 2, and then you've got, let me just show you the top. You just go up until you get to the top, and then go right, left I mean. So camera 1, and then you've got camera 2 with the movie settings, and then you've got network 1, and then you've got playback 1, then you've got setup 1, and then you've got my menu settings. So camera 1 has got 14 different pages. So if we go down, you just click down, and this is where you choose whether you want it on JPEG or RAW, or just JPEG. And the quality, you can have it on extra fine, fine or standard, and the image size you can choose. I'm leaving mine on the largest size. Aspect ratio, you've got a choice. You can have it square, 1:1 if you want it for like Instagram. And panorama, because I haven't got the panorama set on the dial at the top, it's not letting me access that. Next page, you can choose your ISO settings. You can choose, this is the drive mode as well, and you can have a single burst, and you've got the interval shoot function. This is if you're doing a time lapse. So I have recorded a time lapse. So when you record the time lapse, you need to switch this to on. And then you can choose how soon after you want it to start, how many intervals in between each shot, and how many shots. So if you wanted a video at 30 frames a second, then for every second you would need 30 shots. So if you want to do a 10-second video, then you would need 300 shots. So that just shows you. And then you can choose the track and sensitivity. You can choose it high, mid or low. Page 2, shutter type in interval electronic shutter, or you can have mechanical shutter. So that's the time lapse function. So that's if you choose memory recall mode on the top dial. And then this is your focus mode, which we all found on this FN button. The focus mode, the focus area limit, and then this is the illuminator. This is the little light at the front that helps to illuminate, to focus your scene in dark areas. And this is your face settings. So if you want to detect faces, you can have that on or off. Face eye priority in AF on, off, AF off. It's up to you what you want. I don't take many people's faces, so I'm just going to leave that off. Subject, if you're detecting a human or an animal, I'm just going to leave it animal, because I'm not taking many pictures of humans at the moment. I don't do many portrait shots. And then you can choose, if you did have it on human, you can choose whether you wanted it to focus on the right eye or the left eye, which is useful. And then so let's go back to menu, and then we've got, I'm not going to go through all of these menus, And then you can choose the ISO as well here. Flash mode, it tells you there I've got it in. You can have the red eye reduction on or off. I'll leave that set to on in case I do take any portraits. White balance, I've got it set to auto. And then creative style, I've got set to standard. Picture profile, so with this one you can choose, you know, if you're expert, you can choose which profile you want it to be for your editing purposes. And then we'll soft skin effect, so it's not available in time lapse. So some of these get grayed out if you're on another setting. I should have took it off time lapse. So let us go back to time lapse and take that off. So we need to go back on menu. It's on page 3 on camera 1. So we'll turn that off. Picture effect, because I've got it on RAW and JPEG, so if to use the picture effect you've just got to have it on JPEG. So let's just change, I'll just do it the quick way on here. So we'll change it to JPEG like that. Go back to menu and then picture effect. So the picture effect, you can have it on toy camera, pop color, posterization color, retro photo, soft high key, partial color red, high contrast mono, soft focus mid, HDR painting mid, rich tone mono, miniature auto, watercolor and illustration mid. So I like this partial color red, so it only picks out the red in the image. So it's choosing this as red because it's very dark pink, that clock. But for example, if you want to take a picture of like a red bus in London, and you could have it on picture red and it would just pick out the red, or you could choose just to pick out the greens or just to pick out the blues. So it's quite handy, that one, to have. So you could have a black and white image with a red bus in the middle of it. I've seen lots of those everywhere, those images. But I mean, they are easy to edit in Photoshop as well, but you can do it in camera with this. So let's just go back to my FN button because I want to go put that back on RAW, because otherwise if I take a picture I'll be disappointed if I got to change it. And so menu, we've got soft skin effect. Now if you were taking pictures of humans, you could have that on, but it's not available with continuous shooting mode. So if that happens to you when you want to have it on soft skin, you just press, you just click FN, and then you need to go to the drive here and then change it to single shooting, and then click menu again, and then you can change it to soft skin effect. You can have it on low, high or medium. If you want to take a picture of yourself, you don't want to show any blemishes on you or like wrinkles. So I've never tried it yet. I don't know how good it is, to be honest. We'll just turn that off for now. So back to menu. Focus magnifier. You can have no limit, or you can have it on for 2 seconds. I'll leave it on for 2 seconds, and then initial, you can have it focus just 1 time, or you can have it focus 5.3 times. I think 5.3 times was like if you're doing landscapes or you're outdoors or something. 1 time's enough for indoors. Then you have manual focus assist on. So let us just put it in manual focus. Let's find the manual focus on here. So to get the manual focus, you will go to focus mode, and you would enter manual focus at the bottom. So let us just so as soon as you turn the focus wheel here, it zooms right in, and then you can you know, just turn the wheel until you feel like it's focused. So it's just a bit of So if you go too far, it'll be too blurry. So if you have it on, so with the peaking setting, I've set it to on, I've set it to high, and I've set the colour to red. So so you can see there the numbers are in red when you focus using the, I'll just zoom out a bit. So when you're focusing using the wheel, and then you focus out, if you focus, them numbers will go red. It's best not to use the wheel or it's best not to use the MF assist if you're doing it with the peaking setting, because otherwise it keeps zooming in and then you can't see the red on it. So if I turn this setting now, you can see the numbers. You see that the numbers have turned red. And then if I zoom, if I turn the wheel again, if they go white, they're not in focus, and if they go red, they are in focus. So that's to help you get the image sharp if you want the numbers sharp. So if we take that picture now and have a look at that, zoom in, you can see it's a sharp image. So you've got two ways to assist you if you were doing manual focus. So you can use the let's just so you can use the MF assist, which zooms in on the subject, or you can have the peaking setting where it turns red if you're using manual focus. Face registration, you can have it so that if someone smiles, you can have it on a normal smile. It'll detect the smile and take a picture. Self-portrait timer. So what I want to do is a high frame rate movie. So what you have to do first, if you want to do the high frame rate, is you have to set your high frame rate on the mode dial to the white line there. And once you've done that, you can then change your settings. So your settings is in camera 2, page 1 of 10, so HFR settings, and then you press that. So I've set mine to 30 frames a second there, so you have the choices you've got. You could go down to 24 frames a second and that would make it even slower. So now it's 40 times slow motion, and the frame rate I've left it on the highest, 960 frames a second. The quality, I've kept quality priority, and then I'm going to use I'm going to start it by pressing the record button. Apparently you can actually record the video and then press it to end it, so I'm just going to use the start trigger for it. So then you press the middle button after you've done that, and you're back on here. It says check your exposure, focus, etc. Press center button, and then you press the center button to start. So it's chosen 1/1000th of a second speed, it's chosen 2.8 aperture, and it's chosen ISO 1600. So it is going to be quite a noisy image because we're indoors and it's a dull day, and even outside it's a dull day outside as well, so I don't think the light's going to be better outside. And so I'm just going to take some of the noise out in post-processing in the video software that I've got if there's too much noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop some items into the water. I have to get them ready because as soon as you press that record button, it starts. You have to press center button first, starts recording with the movie button. So then I just press the movie button and then it'll start recording. So what I've got is I've got 2 lemons and an orange, and I'm just going to drop them in and hopefully they'll create a splash. So I've got the water quite high up in the bowl, so I'm imagining it's going to go everywhere. So let's get doing this high frame rate video. So to start, I have to press this record button. Just going to get the first item to drop in. Dropping in the orange first. I'm dropping it in from a height so it creates a big splash. So press the record button. I don't know if you have to leave it till it gets to the end, or you just have to wait until it gets to the end. So we've got the video here now, so if I'm just going to press play on the video, and there's a long wait before it actually hits the water, and that's how long it took me to drop something into the water. It didn't seem to take me long to drop it in the water, but because of slow motion it seems to take forever to drop it in the water. And so it only records it for a very short time, probably only like a minute, if that. Less than, actually it's only recorded it stopped recording after the orange bounced back up, so you didn't see the lemons going in there. So it doesn't record it for a long time. So this is why you've got to be quick. And the first couple of videos I tried dropping an egg into some flour, and I don't think I was quick enough to do it, and so it missed it. So I'm just going to fast forward a little bit because it's right at the end where the orange falls in the water. I'll start playing from there. I will put the full video at the end, and I'm also going to try it from top down video and see if that looks any better. So you can see that video at the end. And so you've got audio recording, so we've got that set to on. So if you don't want to record audio, you can turn that off. Audio recording level not available in manual exposure. So movie menu. So with this you can see the little bars zooming along when I'm talking. You can set that so it doesn't go too high. So if you've got a loud voice, or if you were doing any kind of singing and you didn't want it going too loud, then you could set, you just have to turn this dial to make it lower. Or if you've got a quiet voice, you can turn the dial to make it go higher. You want your voice around about -12 roughly. And so that's how you can set that. So you can just talk and just see if it goes up to -12. If it doesn't, you can increase it, and if it does, if it goes too high, you can decrease it a bit, like that. Audio level display we've got on. Wind noise reduction I've got on. I didn't have it on when I did the test videos, and I should have had it on. Now this steady shot, this is like if you were walking with the camera and you didn't want it bouncing up and down, you didn't want the image bouncing up and down, then you could have it on either active or standard or off. So active, I've got it on. If you want it on intelligent active, which is the smoothest setting, then you would have to only have it on HD video. Marker displays, shutter type, release without card. I've disabled that because I don't want to take in any pictures without my SD card in there. Otherwise I could go out, take lots of images, think I've got a fabulous collection of images, and then realise there wasn't an SD card in the camera. So I've disabled that, so you can't actually release the shutter without the card. Now zoom, my zoom settings on optical zoom, the choices are clear image zoom and digital zoom. So you could have the zoom speed, you could have it set to fast, so it zooms in very fast. Or you could have it set to normal, which I prefer because I think normal's a smoother speed. I've changed the settings so the optical zooms not available in RAW and JPEG, so those must only be available in JPEG. Zoom function on ring, you can have standard, quick or step. So the standard is so if you can zoom in. Oh no, this is not letting me zoom, it's giving me the aperture. So this button, it tells you what you can click on to have on what you want on the display. And the zebra setting. So the zebra setting, what that setting is, it shows you, it can help you with your exposure. So if you have it on, and you can choose a level as well, so you can have it on different settings to show where it's overexposed. So you can see the window at the back is overexposed, and it's very useful if you haven't noticed that part of your image is overexposed. There's been lots of times when I've been taking pictures outdoors and I've taken pictures of the clouds and things in the background, and the clouds have been overexposed, and it totally ruins your image because I was only concentrating on the foreground, for example taking a picture of a house, and totally ignored the fact the sky was overexposed so that I could get the house exposed. So if you've not got the ND filter attached, you know, the zebra settings help you to see what is overexposed. So you can choose which level you want just by scrolling through here, and you can customize it as well. So as the window and the side of the chair there is overexposed, I'm going to leave it on that setting. So if you put it on, next time you look at the image in front of you, you can see that's far too exposed. So then you can decide what to do. If you want the background to be further exposed, you can change your aperture, for example. So if I press down, I can change the aperture like this so that the background is not overexposed. But then when you do that, you see your foreground is underexposed. So that's when you would need to use the flash. So if we look in the flash settings, if I put it on automatic flash, it doesn't let me do it in manual exposure. So we'll just put it full flash, and we need to pop the flash up. And then if I take the picture of the clock and then look at the image, we can see the clock's exposed, but the background's also not blown out. You can see the clock's a bit too bright. It looks a bit abnormally. It looks like it definitely has been taken with a flash. So this is when you could change your flash exposure. So if we'll just half click that to get back off it, go back onto FN and go to the compensation of the flash here, and we can turn it down. So I'll turn it down to -2, and then I'll take the picture again, and then we'll have a look at that. So you can see so if we zoom in a bit, you can see it's still a bit on the dull side. So I think I might just turn it down 1. So we'll go back. So it's all a case of just experimenting. So we half press to get back to here, go back to here, turn it down to -1. There you go. And then take the picture again. So what it does is it shoots a little light out of there first before it takes the image. to assess how much light it needs to emit. So if we go and play, so that's the last one I took. That was the one with -2, and that was the one the camera decided. So I think I prefer -1 to the one the camera decided, because it looks more like it's got a light shining on it rather than a flash shining on it. So that's the zebra settings. Now to find the zebra settings, where was it again? I think it was on here. It's on camera 2, page 7. So this setting, you might want to custom it and have it in your menu at the end. I'll go into in a little while and how you can do that. You can have a zebra setting like the grid line of rule of thirds, or you can have a square grid. If I have a square grid, this is what I get. And then if we change it to diagonal and square grid, we'll get that. And if I change it to, I can have it off if I don't want it on, so it's off. But I prefer the rule of thirds. I like that. So exposure set guide on, live view display. So the custom keys. So this is where you find if you want to customize any of your keys. So this one's pictures, this one's movie, and this one's playback. So for example, if we go on custom key, we can see there that one is set to the bin icon. So you can see one is set for the bin icon. Two is focus standard, 3 is drive mode, and I've got 4 set to the zebra display. So for example, if I wanted to change the zebra display, you just have to go down to zebra display, and then you get a choice of what you want to have on there. So ISO, so file format, you would click 4, and then you would choose something. So it is on flash on yours when you first switch it on. So you might want to even have it on something, say like creative style. So now if I go onto here, I get a choice of creative style. Or you can do the same for movies. So the movie buttons, you can either follow custom for the photographs, or you can change it. And for the playback, so we've got it. This is sent to smartphone on playback, which I didn't realise before. So if you go on playback, and then if you find an image that you like, see that one, you press the FN button, you can send it to your smartphone. So you need to come off that by clicking menu. So this is what you would want to click to set up your center, your smartphone. You can send it to the computer view on TV, control with your smartphone. That's the airplane mode, Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth settings, beauty effect. So unable to detect face. I wonder what that does then. I'll have to take some pictures to see what happens when you use that. I've never used it. A large image, and then This is the monitor brightness. And it's asking if you want to confirm before you delete it, or delete first or cancel first. You can have your display set to high or standard, and you can have it set to turn off after so long. Power save start time. So this is what I've changed to high. So this is the auto power temp, auto power off temp. So if the camera gets too hot, it powers itself off after 15 minutes when doing a movie. So if you set it to auto power off temp at high, what happens is you can record a 30-minute movie, or up to an hour even, without it powering off because of the high temperature. But it will get hot, so if you are doing a movie that's going to be, you know, continuously recorded, best to hand hold it using a little mini tripod like this one, or on a tripod, because it will get very hot in your hands. And this is if you want to change it to PAL or NTSC, touch operation on. Now I've got it set to panel and pad, so if you're looking through this viewfinder, you can touch the back of the screen to focus on different areas when you're looking through the viewfinder. So I just leave it on panel and pad. So you can change the language here if you want to. So you've got a choice of all of those languages on here. You can set your date and your time on here, whether you want daylight savings on or off. So you can set it there to the time of day. If you want to add any copyright information to your images, and if you want to format your card. And that's if you want to reset the whole camera. If you've made a mistake and you've messed something up and you can't remember what you've changed, then you can go onto the toolbox, find page 7 of 7 and click on set and reset. And then you would have to click on that, and then you would have to click on initialize. And on this page you can add your favorites. So if you want to add an item to go onto your favorites page, you would click add item, and then you can just scroll through what you wanted to add there. So for example, if you wanted to add the panorama, say direction, you could just click that and it's added it. So now when you look at the menu, and if you look at if you go to your favorites menu, you can see the panorama direction is added. So you need to have it on panorama mode before you can use it in the menu. Like for example, you can have it going right, left, up or down. So now that's added to my favorites menu. If I'll remember where that is if I want to use it. And if I want to add something else to that menu, because it's only set on panorama, so let me just move this to move it back to manual exposure, and click menu, and then you've got 2 pages. You've got your list of things, and then the next page you've got what you can do. So you can add an item and you can delete an item on the second page, or delete the page. So I'm going to add an item, and I'm going to choose something else. So I'm going to choose the time lapse interval shooting function. So I'm just going to add that. I just click added. So now that it's on my menu page. So if we go back to page 1, you can see I've got interval shoot function there. So that's how you can add menus to your favorites. So when you go to menu and you're looking for if you were looking for that, you can find it easily in your favourites list, so it's quite useful. So I've added a few extra things to my menu now. So I've got the panorama at the top, I've got the time lapse, I've got the soft skin effect, face registration, register face as priority, and then it'll help me find these quickly if I need them. High frame rate settings and zebra settings is gone on to another page, so now I've got 2 or 3 pages instead of 1 or 2 pages. So you can keep adding to this if you want to, and it'll just increase how many pages you have in your favorites menu. I just want to explain to you about the DRO Auto HDR, so that's high dynamic range option you've got here. So if we click on here, you can turn that to either Dynamic Range Optimizer LV1, or you can change it to LV2 or LV3, LV4, LV5, or automatic. So I'm going to leave it on LV3. So HDR exposure diff auto, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can do 6 different images. So if we say we'll go on 4 and click on 4 there. So then when we take an image, it takes 4 different images and it combines them to try and get the exposure right. So that's what it's come up with. So it looks more natural, doesn't it? It doesn't look overexposed, apart from the curtains at the back are overexposed, but it's because it's very bright outside and they're white curtains. But I think it's done a good job. So if you are outdoors and it's a bit underexposed, it's a bit dark or it's a bit too bright, you can set that so it'll take the 4 images, or you can have it taken 5 different images. Let's see if there's any difference if we change it to 5 or 6. I think 6 is the maximum, and then you've got an automatic one. So if we do it on 6, so what you do is you half press it to focus, and then you press it all the way and keep your finger pressed until it's taken the 6 images, and it takes them very fast. You can hear them clicking there, and you see it counting down on the top. So now we can have a look. So it's done a better job there, taking 6 images. It's actually helped a lot. I think that's the best image so far, because you can't see through into the garden through them curtains, even though it is overexposed. You've got the clock nicely exposed, and I think it's better than using the fill flash. So I think that's really a powerful tool on your camera, and I think that's something that you should put in your menu at the end, your favorite menu. So let's go and put that in my favorite menu. So I'll click menu here, go to the top, go to the little star icon, and then you go down to get onto the menu itself, and then I'll need to go to page 3 to add the item. So I need to find that now, so I just have to flick through the pages to find the DRO. Click on DRO and then click the middle button again to add it, and it's added it. So now when I go on menu, and I can see it's added it to my page 2 of my menu. And then if I want to, I can change that so I can turn it off if I want to, or leave it on. So I'm just going to leave that on at the moment because I think it's done such a fantastic job. I might want to use it all the time. So that's the DRO, the dynamic range. The dynamic range, I don't know, I think it must mean optimizer, that O, automatic high dynamic range. So I'm just going to show you some footage now of using the Sony RX100. I'm going to show you some videos, and I'm going to show you some photographs, and I'm going to show you the time lapse I recorded. So I'm going to start off by showing you the steady shot in active mode. So in this footage you can see on the right you've got the iPhone 14 Pro, and on the left you've got the Sony RX100. So the Sony RX100 does a decent job in steady shot active. This is 4K video I'm recording, and I'm just hand holding it using a mini tripod. And with the iPhone 14 Pro, I'm holding that as well using a different mini tripod. So I'm not using any gimbals or anything like that, but the iPhone 14 Pro does do a very good job at keeping the scene steady. A better job than the RX100. Although to use the RX100 steady shot in the intelligent mode, that was an even smoother footage you would get, but you would have to use HD video. It has got a 200mm zoom, and I'm just going to show you that lighthouse is far away, and then you can zoom right in using this little camera with the 200mm zoom. It's quite useful in that respect. So these videos were recorded in 4K, although this video is an HD video, so you won't see the benefit of it. But these are 4K videos, and they were filmed at the Washington Wildfowl Park, which is in northeast England. And I have done another video of this park, and I will put the link down below. So what you can see here are eider ducks. Now eider ducks generally live on the coast as well, and they swim in the sea, and they feed off the fish in the sea. And you can also find them in like lakes in wildfowl parks like this. So the female one is the brown one, and the male one is the black and white one. So in this video I haven't got the wind noise reduction switched on, and so this is why it's important to put your wind noise reduction switched on. I don't know how better effect it would have with that switched on, but you can hear the noise very loudly on this video. In this video, as the ducks swim underneath the bridge, it goes into a brighter area in the lake, and a lot of it became overexposed. So what I did was I put the ND filter on. You can watch me doing that to show you the difference with the ND filter and without it. It was very overexposed there, so I'll put the ND filter on, and you can see what difference it makes. I went to Whitley Bay in northeast England to do this time lapse. It was very easy setting it up using the camera. The sun was just setting there, and Whitley Bay Lighthouse is a favourite for people to take pictures of sunsets. Especially in the morning when the sun rises, but here we are in the evening. This is the result, and it was edited in Lightroom. The tripod I had wasn't that steady, and it was a bit windy, so I mean I think the camera's done a very good job. So here is a slow motion video using the high frame rate mode. So this is the 960 frames per second. Doesn't it look amazing? I love how those water droplets just float so slowly. And I forgot to mention, you do have to use a manual focus to focus on the fruit and on the bowl first. One way to do it is to put the fruit in the bowl and then focus on it, and then take the fruit out of the bowl before you start. So you can't use autofocus in this, you have to use a manual focus. I did try doing a top-down one as well, which you'll see shortly, but I didn't set the manual focus, I forgot. So you should have a checklist before you start. Set all your settings up right and set your focus before you start. That's why it reminds you on the back. It reminds you before you press the record button what to do. I think this last lemon falling in is the biggest splash. That's coming now. I think that looks amazing. So that's the high frame rate. My favourite blossoms, cherry blossoms in this beautiful park. Using the normal zoom function. So the maximum image size with the Sony RX100 VII is 5,496 pixels times 3,672 pixels. So I'm going to leave you now with a selection of images that I've taken with this camera over the last few weeks. I'd just like to say I hope you have enjoyed this video and I hope it has been useful to you. If you have any questions, just put the questions in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them. Until the next video, bye for now.